Hello, welcome to Learn English Lab.
Hello.
Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, the unexplained. We've got 15 famous mysteries that still have people scratching their heads.
Yeah, it's a great list. We're talking historical disappearances, really strange phenomena, puzzles that just won't quit.
Exactly. Stuff that's captured imaginations for sometimes centuries, from way back in ancient times right up to, well, almost yesterday.
And our goal here really is to pull out the key details, the things that make them so mysterious, and those questions that just linger, give you a good sense of why they're still so captivating.
Okay, let's kick things off in ancient Egypt. The disappearance of Cleopatra's tomb.
Cleopatra the Seventh, the last pharaoh, died 30 BCE, and the story goes she was buried with Mark Antony.
But no tomb after all this time.
Nope, no definitive evidence. Vanished. Ancient writers hinted it was near Alexandria, maybe near an Isis temple. Cleopatra was strongly linked with Isis.
But Alexandria's changed a lot, hasn't it? Earthquakes, buildings.
Massively, which makes finding anything from that era incredibly difficult. Think about it. Finding this tomb wouldn't just be about gold. It could shift our view of that whole Egypt to Rome power transition.
Isn't there someone looking right now? Dr. Martinez?
Yeah, Dr. Kathleen Martinez. She's been excavating at Taposiris Magna since 2005. She thinks the tomb might be there.
Why there?
Well, the temple has links to Isis, and its alignment fits some descriptions. They found coins with Cleopatra's face, lots of mummies, but no royal tomb. Not yet, anyway.
So if it's not there, where else could it be?
Well, some think it's underwater now. A lot of ancient Alexandria is submerged. They've looked, found parts of her palace even, but still no tomb.
Or maybe it was just destroyed. Or looted back then.
That's definitely possible. Less romantic, sure, but very plausible. Ancient tombs were prime targets.
So the big problems are not enough precise records from the time, and the landscape's completely different.
Pretty much. Vague descriptions, centuries of looting, natural disasters, cities built on top. It's a huge challenge.
And the mystery itself just keeps feeding popular culture, right?
Absolutely. Books, movies. Cleopatra remains this enigmatic figure, and the idea of finding her tomb is just irresistible.
Okay, let's shift from ancient tombs to an ancient book nobody can read, the Voynich manuscript.
Yes. This one's a real head-scratcher. About 240 vellum pages. Pops up in 1912. But carbon dating puts it way back, early 15th century, like 1404 to 1338.
And it's written in? What? Some kind of code?
That's the mystery. It's a completely unknown script. And the illustrations?
Yeah.
Bizarre plants you can't identify, weird astronomical charts, strange little figures.
Then nobody's cracked it. Linguists, code breakers.
Nope. For over a century, the best minds have tried. Nothing definitive. Is it a super complex cipher hiding something? An incredibly elaborate hoax? A lost language? Or just art? We don't know.
It's like you need a Rosetta Stone for it, but there isn't one.
Exactly. And those weird plans and diagrams don't really give solid clues either. It's baffling.
Could technology help? Like AI, maybe?
That's the hope for the future, isn't it? Maybe AI or computational linguistics could spot patterns humans miss, or perhaps some other historical find might shed light on it someday. Fingers crossed.
Okay, let's travel across the Atlantic now. The lost colony of Roanoke, North Carolina.
Right. 1587. About 115 English settlers land on Roanoke Island. They're meant to set up a permanent colony.
But the governor, John White, he goes back for supplies, right? And gets stuck.
Yeah, delayed by war with Spain. When he finally gets back in 1590, everyone's gone. The whole settlement, empty.
Except for those carvings. Croatoan.
That's it. Croatoan on a post and just CRO on a tree. That's all he found. So what happened?
Well, Croatoan was the name of a nearby island and a local tribe, wasn't it? So maybe they just moved. Or joined the tribe.
That's a leading theory. Integration with the Croatoan, or maybe the Lumbee tribe slightly further inland. Some Lumbee people today trace ancestry back, have oral traditions about it.
But there are darker theories too, right? Massacre, starvation.
Oh yeah, maybe conflict with other tribes, or even the Spanish, though there's no big mass grave found. Or they could have starved, died of disease, or tried to move somewhere else and just perished.
And again, we lack solid proof because...
Well, no letters or records from the colonists about what happened. Plus, it's been over 400 years.
Yeah.
Coastal environments change, evidence disappears. It's tough.
Maybe DNA could eventually link modern people back.
It's a possibility being explored, yeah. Trying to find genetic links between potential descendants in European populations. Still very complex, though.
Okay, let's set sail now. A real maritime mystery. The Mary Celeste. The ghost ship.
1872.
Yeah.
Now drifting in the Atlantic, no crew, 10 people just gone.
But the ship was okay, and the cargo?
Perfectly seaworthy. Cargo of industrial alcohol, mostly untouched. Crew's belongings still there, just empty. The lifeboat was missing, though.
But no signs of pirates or a fight?
None reported. That's what's so weird. Why abandon a perfectly good ship? Loads. Maybe they thought it was leaking and panicked. Maybe they were worried about the alcohol fumes in the hold could be explosive.
Mutiny?
Unlikely. No signs of it. Some suggest a rogue wave, or maybe even a waterspout scared them into the lifeboat, which then got lost or capsized. Insurance fraud seems improbable, too.
And finding the crew or the lifeboat now? Impossible.
Pretty much. The Atlantic's huge, and 19th century forensics wouldn't have caught subtle clues we might find today. It just remains adrift in history.
It's the ultimate ghost ship story, isn't it?
It really is. It captures that fear of the unknown at sea perfectly.
Okay, let's head to London. Victorian London. Jack the Ripper.
1888, Whitechapel. A terrifying figure. An unidentified serial killer butchering women, mostly prostitutes, in the East End. At least 5 victims, maybe more.
And the way he killed them, brutal. Plus those letters he sent.
Exactly. The throat cuttings, the abdominal mutilations, horrific. And yes, those haunting letters to the police and press, some signed Jack the Ripper, whipped up public frenzy.
If they never caught him, who did they suspect?
So many suspects over the years. Aaron Kosminski is a big one, partly due to some controversial DNA analysis on a shawl, supposedly from a victim, Montague Druitt, a barrister who committed suicide, even wilder theories about Walter Sickert, the artist, or Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson.
But no solid proof for any of them.
Nothing conclusive. The investigation back then was hampered. No real forensic science like we have today. Crime scenes weren't preserved well. Whitechapel itself was a maze of dark alleys, easy for someone to disappear.
And he's become this huge cultural icon of sorts, hasn't he?
Absolutely. A symbol of Victorian darkness, the mystery killer. Endless books, films. The fascination just doesn't fade.
Right. Let's move into the 20th century. Amelia Earhart.
Pioneering aviator. Vanished July 2nd, 1937. She was trying to fly around the world.
And she just disappeared over the Pacific, near Howland Island.
Yeah, her and her navigator, Fred Noonan. Last radio messages suggested they were low on fuel, couldn't find the tiny island they were aiming for. Then, silence.
So the main theory is just crashed and sank.
That's the most probable. Ran out of fuel, ditched in the ocean. But there are other ideas. One big one involves Gardner Island, Nandakamoro.
What's the idea there?
That they might have managed to land or crash land on the reef there. Expeditions have found artifacts, bits of metal, cosmetic jars that could possibly be linked to Earhart or Noonan, but it's not definitive.
Any other theories? Like the Japanese capture one?
That's more fringe. The idea she landed somewhere else and was captured by the Japanese before World War II. Less evidence for that. Navigational error leading to getting lost is more likely than capture.
And finding the plane seems impossible given the ocean's size.
Exactly. The Pacific is vast and deep. Radio signals weren't precise. It was an incredibly difficult search area then, and still is now, even with deep-sea tech.
She remains such an icon, though.
Definitely. Aviation legend, feminist icon. Her disappearance cemented her legacy, but also highlights those early risks of flight.
Okay, let's talk about a place rather than a person. The Bermuda Triangle.
Yes. That infamous patch of the Atlantic, roughly between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Famous for ships and planes supposedly vanishing without explanation.
Flight 19 is the classic example, right? And the USS Cyclops.
Those are the big ones, often cited. Flight 19, 5 Navy bombers lost in 1945, and the rescue plane sent after them also vanished. The Cyclops, a huge Navy ship, gone without a trace in 1918.
So what's really going on there? Is it weird?
Well, the popular idea is magnetic anomalies, aliens, time warps. But the reality is likely much more mundane.
Like bad weather.
Exactly. It's an area of strong currents like the Gulf Stream, prone to sudden, violent storms, hurricanes. Methane hydrates on the seabed could erupt, potentially sinking ships by reducing water density. That's a theory. Anyway.
Next, human error. Lots of traffic there.
Huge factor. It's a very busy shipping lane and airspace. More traffic means statistically more accidents. Plus, navigational errors, equipment failure. Many mysterious disappearances have perfectly logical explanations when investigated closely.
So the mystery is maybe overblown.
Quite possibly. Studies suggest the accident rate isn't significantly higher than other busy ocean areas. It's just captured the public imagination, fueled by sensational stories.
Right. Okay, moving from the ocean to outer space. Well, potentially, the WOW signal.
This is a fascinating one. 1977, an astronomer, Jerry Eman, using the Big Ear radio telescope for SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
And he found something.
He detected this incredibly strong narrowband radio signal. Lasted just 72 seconds. It was so unusual, so much stronger than background noise, that he circled it on the printout and wrote, "Wow," next to it.
What was special about the signal itself?
It was right around the hydrogen line frequency. That's a frequency astronomers thought an alien civilization might use as a deliberate beacon, like a universal hailing frequency, because hydrogen is everywhere.
But it never happened again.
Never. They pointed telescopes back at that spot many, many times. Nothing. Just that one 72-second burst.
So, theories. Aliens saying hello just once.
That's the exciting possibility. A one-off ET signal. Or maybe it's some kind of rare natural phenomenon. Some suggested comets could have been at that frequency, but that's debated. Terrestrial interference seems unlikely given the signal's characteristics.
But without repetition, you can't prove anything.
Exactly. It's tantalizing, but ultimately unverifiable. A single data point. It remains a cornerstone for SETI discussions, though, that what if.
Okay, back down to earth. Australia, the Taos Hum case, or the Somerton Man.
1948. A man found dead on Somerton Beach, near Adelaide. Well-dressed, but no ID, no labels in his clothes. Very mysterious.
And the main clue was that bit of paper, Tamam Shud.
Right. Found in a hidden sob pocket in his trousers. It just said, Tamam Shud, meaning it is ended or finished in Persian. It was torn from the last page of a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
And they found the specific book it came from.
Eventually, yes. A man came forward saying he found the book in his car around the time the body was discovered. And in the back of that book, there was faint pencil writing that looked like some kind of code, never been deciphered.
Wow. Any other clues?
A suitcase linked to him was found at the train station, again with labels removed. And the book also had a phone number leading to a local nurse who acted strangely when shown a cast of the man's face, but denied knowing him well.
So, spy, suicide, something else.
All theories are on the table. Given the Cold War context, the spy hypothesis was popular. Or maybe a failed romance connected to the nurse. Or just an unknown person who died of unknown causes, possibly poisoning, though that wasn't definitively proven either.
But there was recent development. DNA.
Yes. In 2022, after his body was exhumed, researchers using advanced DNA techniques claimed they identified him as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne. It's still pending official confirmation, but it's a huge potential breakthrough after 70 years. Still doesn't explain the code or how he died, though.
Fascinating. Okay, another mystery man. D.B. Cooper.
The legendary hijacker. November 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper boards a Boeing 727 flight.
And he hijacks it with a bomb.
Claimed he had a bomb, Demanded $200,000 in cash, that's like over $1 million today, in 4 parachutes. Got the money and shoots during a stop in Seattle.
Then he makes him take off again and just jumps out.
Exactly. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, over remote forested terrain in southwestern Washington state, he parachuted out the back of the plane with the money and vanished.
Never seen again.
Ever.
Never seen or heard from again. It's the only unsolved air piracy case in U.S. history.
Didn't they find some of the money?
They did. In 1980, a young boy found about $5,800 of the ransom money, partially decomposed, on the banks of the Columbia River. But that's it. No Cooper, no parachute.
So did he survive the jump? Or die?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Could he have survived that risky jump at night into rough terrain and bad weather? Many think it's unlikely he survived. Others think he made a clean getaway. The discovery of the money muddies the waters too. Did it wash downriver? Was it buried?
No credible suspects ever identified. Many people investigated. Lots of names floated. But the FBI closed the active investigation in 2016 without identifying him. He's become a bit of a folk hero.
Yeah, the guy who got away. Okay, another elusive figure. The Zodiac Killer.
Back to California. Late 1960s, early 70s. A serial killer operating mainly in Northern California. Known to have killed at least 5 people, but claimed in letters to have killed many more.
And he sent letters too, like Jack the Ripper and ciphers.
Yes, very similar in that way. Taunting letters to newspapers, police. Often included cryptic ciphers or codes. Some were solved relatively quickly, but one, the infamous 340 cipher, remained unsolved for over 50 years.
Did they ever identify him? Arthur Lee Allen was a big suspect, wasn't he?
Allen was considered the prime suspect for a long time, but circumstantial evidence wasn't enough. Handwriting didn't quite match. DNA didn't link him definitively. Other names like Earl Van Best Jr. or Gary Post have popped up more recently, often pushed by amateur investigators, but nothing officially confirmed.
Why was he so hard to catch?
Seemed meticulous, careful, left little forensic evidence. or at least little that could be useful with the technology back then. The attacks were spread out geographically, too.
And that really complex cipher, the 340, was it solved eventually?
It was. In 2020, a team of private citizens only cracked it. But disappointingly, it didn't contain his name or anything that directly identified him, just more rambling threats and boasts. So the Zodiac's identity remains unknown.
Chilling. Okay, something completely different now. The Taos Hum.
Yeah, this is a strange one. Since the early 1990s, some people in and around Taos, New Mexico report hearing this persistent, low-frequency humming or buzzing sound.
What did it sound like?
Often described like a distant diesel engine idling or some kind of machinery. People tend to hear it more indoors and often at night. But the weird thing is, only a small percentage of the population there can hear it, maybe 2%.
And investigations haven't found a source.
Nope. Numerous attempts to record it with sensitive microphones, track it down. Nothing conclusive. No obvious industrial source, no geological explanation that fits.
So what could it be?
Theories range widely. Maybe it is some environmental noise that only certain people are sensitive to. Maybe it's physiological, like a specific type of tinnitus. Some suggest psychological factors. Or, the more conspiracy-minded suggest secret underground bases or experiments.
But it's hard to study something only some people perceive.
Extremely. The subjective nature is the biggest hurdle. It's a real modern acoustic mystery.
Okay, our second to last one is maybe the biggest aviation mystery of recent times. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370.
March 8th, 2014. A Boeing 777 flying from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. 239 people on board. It's just vanished from radar.
Didn't it turn off course deliberately, it seemed?
That's what the data indicates. It deviated sharply from its flight path over the South China Sea, its transponder was turned off, and then military radar tracked it flying back over Malaysia and out towards the Indian Ocean.
And satellite data showed it kept flying for hours.
Yeah, automated satellite pings suggested the plane flew for about 7 more hours, likely until it ran out of fuel, somewhere over the vast, remote southern Indian Ocean.
And the search found debris, but not the plane.
Exactly. Several pieces of debris washed up on coastlines in the western Indian Ocean, Reunion Island, Mozambique, Tanzania have been confirmed or are highly likely to be from MH370. But the main wreckage, and crucially the black boxes containing flight data and cockpit voice recorders, have never been located despite massive search efforts.
We still don't know why.
No definitive answer. Theories include deliberate pilot action, murder, suicide, or hijacking. Maybe a hijacking by someone else. A catastrophic mechanical failure or fire, although that doesn't easily explain the deliberate course changes and shutdown of communications. An external event like a missile strike seems very unlikely, with no evidence.
And the search area is just impossibly remote and deep.
One of the deepest, most remote parts of any ocean on Earth makes finding anything incredibly difficult and expensive. It's a haunting modern mystery.
Okay, finally, let's go back in time again to the Soviet Union. The Dyatlov Pass incident.
1959, Ural Mountains. 9 experienced young hikers set out on a skiing expedition. They never came back.
And when they were found, it was bizarre, right?
It's extremely bizarre. Their tent was found ripped open from the inside. The hikers were found scattered down the slope, some near a makeshift fire, others further away. Some were only partially dressed despite the freezing temperatures.
And the injuries were strange.
Very. Some had massive internal injuries, crushed ribs, fractured skulls, but with little or no external trauma, like they'd been hit by an immense force. One woman was missing her tongue. Some clothes had traces of radioactivity.
What did the official investigation say?
The Soviets closed it pretty quickly, citing death due to a compelling natural force, which is incredibly vague and explains almost nothing.
So, avalanche.
Avalanche is a popular recent theory. Maybe a specific type called a slab avalanche could explain the tent damage and initial panic. But it doesn't easily account for the severity and type of internal injuries, or the missing tongue, or the radiation.
What else? Infrasound, military tests.
Infrasound low-frequency sound causing panic has been suggested. Secret military weapons testing in the area is another common theory, possibly explaining the radiation and the state wanting to cover it up. And of course, more fringe ideas like attack by local Mansi tribesmen, which they denied, or even a Yeti or UFO encounter pop up.
But the secrecy and weird evidence make it hard to solve.
Absolutely. Remote location, evidence degrades over time, the Soviet context, leaves so much room for speculation. Those injuries are particularly hard to explain convincingly with any single theory.
Okay, one quick bonus thought before we wrap up Stonehenge. Not a disappearance, but still a huge mystery about its purpose.
Right. Built over thousands of years, massive stones aligned with solstices. But why? Astronomical observatory. burial ground. There are burials, a place for healing, social gatherings.
No written records from the builders, so it's all interpretation.
Exactly. Probably had multiple uses over time. But the definitive why remains elusive, a different kind of enduring puzzle.
Wow. Okay, so that's 15 mysteries, maybe 16, that really show how much we still don't know. From ancient tombs to modern flights.
It really does highlight the limits of our knowledge sometimes, doesn't it? And the enduring power of good mystery.
Each one just leaves you thinking. Were there any details today that particularly stood out to you, or a case you find the most compelling?
It's hard to pick. They all have their own unique hook.
Well, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the unexplained and want to explore more fascinating topics, definitely remember to like this video, share it with fellow mystery lovers, and subscribe to the Learn English Lab YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown.